Jonathan qui ne se laisse pas faire, mais Eton va en profiter. Et donc le dépassement avec la petite touchette à la fin du virage.
Il est parti à la faute. Attention. Les fameux nuggets de Simon. Allez, le petit donuts, c'est parti. Welcome to Paddock TV for the third round of the Apex Online Racing Championship with the GT3 cars. We are tonight with the driver selected in the Pro Division, and for the third round we are at Zolder in Belgium, and with me still in the booth to comment the race, Henrik. Hello, Henrik.
Hello, Adrian.
So welcome everybody. We are together for approximately 1 hour and a half. Today we are in Belgium for the second time. Last week we were at Spa-Francorchamps, and this time we are in the other side of the Belgium for the second famous track, Zolder, and its chicane. It's one of the characteristics of this track, the chicanes, like Monza maybe, but the top speed is very lower compared to the Italian track. We can lost a lot of things here, Henrik, on the different chicane.
Yeah, exactly. Those chicanes have massive curves. You really need to set up your car perfectly to not lose momentum on the curves. You need to have a very stable car. Soft suspension, obviously, if you want to risk them. I would say that the second chicane is not really hard. It's more the first one and then the first sector, which is really hard, especially the right-hander that is really tricky to get.
Yeah, the first one is very hard. The bumpers are quite rude, so you can damage your car. The second one, it's tricky because it's a very slower chicane. And the exit with the double right corner is quite tricky. The last one in the last turn is not very difficult, but it may occurs to different driver to take a position and stay in the other side of the car to prepare an overtakes. So it's quite important turns in this track, but as you said, the most critical is the first one.
Yeah, exactly. And this track as well is quite tricky, you know, especially the first corner. You have some big curves as well. It's easy to lose the back end there. And then you have a very long straight, which is quite hard to do because if you're like going too wide there, you can put two wheels on the dirt and losing a lot of speed for the remainder of a back straight. So really to optimize that, it's kind of a technical track, really.
Yeah, the first corner we can think we can pass it at a quite high speed, but in fact you can consider you have more space, but in fact it's not really the case, and you have to reduce the speed quite earlier to be able to pass and to keep the apex in this turn. And remember that between the first and the second corner there is also the pit lane exit, which should be quite tricky if the driver which is coming on track is not very safe. One of the news for this third round is the entry of some new cars. You may have recognized, for example, the new Aston Martin here in the middle of the screen, just in front of the Porsche. There is also some Nissan GT3 that are coming back. The Nissan were quite unfamous in the first part of the in the first version of the game, because there is a lack of pace for the car. The BOP was not very generous with the car, but with the new update, we have found some Nissan, and there is also a McLaren, the 720, which is registered here for this session. So still a lot of Audi, but we have more diversity in the car, I think. Maybe some Mercedes disappeared. We still have 3 Lexus. The Audi field is still quite important, but there is more Ferrari, there is less BMW, McLaren is coming, Nissan also, the new Aston Martin. I don't remember, they were the first version of the Aston Martin.
So the first Aston Martin version was the DBR9, the one that was used in deck since almost 5 years ago. Now we have a new one. I think it's the Vantage.
Yeah.
Which is a bit better, a bit more modern, and also it's kind of cool to see that there's a McLaren. McLaren, which should be normally strong on that racetrack. A lot of downforce, obviously. It's not really when you see the car, it's not really like a GT3 one. You know, it's more like a prototype, like an hypercar, we can say even. But yeah. And obviously the Lexus, it's still one of the strongest car here on the grid. So obviously we expect them to be at the front of the field today.
Yeah, let's see if the Lexus will have some concurrence today. You're right with the McLarens, and till the beginning of the GT3 category, until McLaren is in this category with the MP412, we can see that the BOP for the McLaren brand was not very often in the right sense, and very often there is some there is some big constraint on the car. With the MP412, we remember that several teams in Blancpain Endurance Series have some penalty due to overboost of the supercharge of the engines, and with the 650 there is not a lot of car sales. We don't see this car very regularly in some competition, and the 720 only race in British GT Championship. We never see him in Blancpain, so we can suppose the BOP was not at the advantage of this brand. So let's see how it will transpose in the game. It's still a game, so there is a lot of possibility. We are more flexibility compared to the reality, but my understanding of this version 1.1 of the game is that all the cars now are more closer and should be more easily to be competitive with all the cars. I don't know if all are able to win, but before, the Nissan was clearly disadvantaged compared to the rest of the field, and we never see any Nissan GTR on the racetrack. Here two are coming, so let's see if this balance of performance have a lot of impact. We are still in practice. We will switch in qualification in few minutes.
Yeah, I think there's still the briefing going on at the moment. So there's still a couple of cars who are obviously practicing a bit, maybe trying to understand what they can do with the setup, if they can improve the lines for qualification. And yeah, after those first 2 rounds, the first one obviously at the Nürburgring and the second one at Spa, we probably won't see that much of action. Well, we might, but it's clear a track where it's hard to overtake. You know, it's
clearly, yeah,
quite tricky, really tight. You don't have any margin for errors, and a lot of corners, really tight corners. You don't have a lot of straight line. Well, obviously you have the back straight, but that's all really. So qualification will be really important there, especially as it's a sprint race. It's not an endurance one, so you can't really make the time up.
And we switch in qualification for 15 minutes as usual. Oh, and there is a
it's with
spin.
Mercedes who spin around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, all the crew and all the cars are fine. Yeah, obviously, in Assetto Corsa Competizione, you have the ghost mode in the pit lane, which is enforced.
Remember that the tires are cold, the brakes are cold, all the car is cold, and you have to wait between 1 and 2 laps, depending on the setup and how you are so aggressive on track, to warm up the car. And when you just go out from the pit lane, you have to be careful because it's quite tricky. Here with the massive brakes that you have to release with the different chicanes, and it's very slow corner in this track, except the first sector when there is a corner in 3rd and 4th gear. For all the rest of the track, you are quite often in 2nd gear, so it's very slow, and we know that at lower speed the tires are quite tricky when they are cold. Vincent Leitner, I think, will be the first driver to start the timing for the first timing lap, and now he starts the lap.
Yeah, Vincent Leitner, who had a good race last week at Spa. Not the fastest, but quite consistent. That's enough, really. But yeah, he needs to capitalize on a better qualifying session if you want to have better results, really. He clipped a bit the grass, the sand here, so he lost a bit of top speed. That's really not ideal. Yeah, he's really safe over that first chicane.
Yeah, there is some margin on the curves. All the drivers are now on the track. There is a Ferrari just behind. Is it GK? Yeah, it's GK. And the other McLaren, Lamborghini. And the McLaren 720 in 4th. Who will complete the first lap?
It's Vincent Leitner, who will cross the line, obviously in first position with a 1:29.7. And it's immediately beaten by GK with the Ferrari. And let's check Julian Bayer, obviously the favorite for that race. Only P3, but we know that his qualifying session, the qualifying session isn't his cup of tea.
Martin Matzer complete the 3rd lap, and Tamali just after take the lead in the pole position as he do till the beginning of the championship. He released quite earlier in the qualification the best lap. Let's see if it will be difficult for the other driver to beat this time, or if it will stay the reference for all the qualifying session. Only 11 minutes left.
Yeah, quite a fun statistic, but Jason Esmeyer has never qualified inside the top 4.
Yeah.
Qualified P5 on the first round and P6 on the second round, despite winning those 2 opening rounds. So he's really good in terms of race pace, or shall we say, smooth, consistent, and seems like it's paying off for him.
It's only 11 minutes remaining and not left. Sorry for the mistake. Zaip is in 3rd with the Audi 2019, if I'm right. Yeah. And in all the 2019 cars, they removed the onboard camera, which is looking on the road, on the dashboard.
Well, obviously, yeah, it's to find the little bumps on the racetrack. It's for engineers' purpose, I guess. And Assetto is improving 28.7. That is putting him in P3 at the moment. And Paker is at the moment in the lead with a 1:28.2 on the Merc. A very good time. And Lindner as well, P3, capitalizing on his good meeting at Spa.
Xipe will cross the line in a few seconds. There is another car just in front of him. And for Xipe, it's the 5th position. Flask, who switched to the Nissan GT3, is in the second corner, just behind the Bentley. I didn't see the number of the Bentley.
There's a bit of a team play there between Absmeyer and Mali. Obviously, they are currently leading the team, the constructor standings, and we saw that Absmeyer gave a bit of a slipstream to Mali, and he seems to work out because at the moment Tata Mali is 3/10 up on his time. He might be able to challenge Paker for the pole position here. He lost a bit in the last chicane. But nice exit, and we might see actually the first lap time under the 1:28. No, it will be 1:28.035, but it's still the fastest time, and what a lap.
Jason Absmeyer, the championship leader, in fourth in the starting grid for the moment. With the best lap in 1:20.7. Xipe in the 6th. Oh, Vincent Lindner, lucky, complete the third lap, third time of this qualifying session with the Audi. At the end of the field, we can still find Elias in the 28th position, Lexus driver in the last position, just behind another one, Dakusa. They didn't have any time for the moment. They complete some laps, but it seems there are not valid, maybe some mistakes, and for the moment, for these two Lexus driver, it could be a tricky position to start the race. We just said before that it was quite difficult here to overtake, so it will be a very tricky situation for them. And Elias just complete a lap, and it's a 1:28.5, which put him on the second line of the qualifying session. In the last line, now it's Dakusa with the Lexus. Let's see what will be the time. Does it will be complete and improve? Yes, no, no. In 27th position, it's Adrien Grenier for the RT93 teams. Six minutes and 30 seconds before the checkered flag. Oh, and he missed the braking point and go in the sandbox. In 26th position, it's some random tramp in the Ferrari.
Oh, Bowman of the Mercedes improving up to P3.
Tobias Bowman. Less than 3 tenths compared to the pole position. We'll continue with a new lap. 6 minutes left. It's approximately 4 laps. Still possible for all the drivers who crossed the line a few seconds ago. I haven't seen any Porsche. Who is riding a Porsche? Flask had a Porsche, but he switched to the Nissan GT3. And even there is still in Audi. Kropp was the other driver with the Porsche and keep it. Kropp have switched to the 2019 Porsche version.
Flask with a Nissan Nismo on a pretty good lap. He lost a bit unfortunately on the first sector, but improving up to P9.
GK in 13th position. Tobias Dopey with the Lamborghini in 14. He will cross the line. But it doesn't improve, it just come out from the pit lane. Dakuza is now in 15th position. Andrei Xuke with the second BMW is in 16th position. Dimitri Gueman with the Porsche, who switched from the Mercedes to the Porsche. Dimitri. Martin Matzer. I think it's a McLaren here. Oh, a spin for Martin Matzer. Some of us here and directly go to the pit lane. Felix with the Mercedes AMG will cross the line. 2.56 and 1.28. It's the 8th position for the Mercedes driver.
He only improved by 3 tenths, but gained a lot of position. It's really close in the midfield. You can see a lot of drivers at 6 or 7 tenths from the leaders.
Clearly, just check. J. Cool is at 1.032 seconds compared to the leader, and 3 tenths behind. You are approximately at the time complete by Felix at 0.726 tenths. 726,000, sorry. So it's quite close. 12th driver in 3 tenths.
And Kropp is improving. The Porsche driver, well, only by 1 position, but it's something and shooter with a BMW. BMW who should suffer there. You know, it's a car which is really good in the straight, a lot of power.
Yeah.
But as it's not really working on a track like Zolder.
Less than 3 minutes, 2 laps remaining.
Altmaier is improving his lap time as well, only by 25 thousandths of a second, up to P6.
And Mali is still in the first position.
And Vanders in the Audi is improving as well. And from P13 he's going up to P9.
On 28.7. Just behind Felix. Felix will improve again the performance Felix and Vincent Lindner released exactly the same time. 1 minute 28.
Exactly, and they are both 666 thousandths of a second behind the leader, which is quite rare in my opinion, but
it's so close.
Oh, Mixorn, who unfortunately went completely messed up the last chicane. He was improving as well. Luckily, he will have 1 more lap.
Yeah. At the end of the field, some random Trump is closing the starting grid for the moment, just behind David Mamet with the bed play number 7. That it will compete in a better position. Yeah, he keeps the 26th position to Adrien Grenier.
Adrien Beck is improving as well. P12 to P5 for German driver.
$30 left. Last lap for all the driver. Elias just started a new lap. Julian Bake also. Lucky is in the first chicane. Jason Apsmeyer also. And Defenders.
Lucky is on a great first sector. 3 tenths up already. Can he maybe get a pole position. It's the last lap. Everyone need to finish their lap, but it's their last opportunity to snipe the pole position. For now, the pole position is currently for Mali, but who can challenge?
Sessions ending. Last chicane for Lucky. He can improve the time.
What time will it be? Will he be able to lock the front row? And yes, he will! It's second place for Lucky. And that was Mayer as well, improving and overtaking Elias on his last lap.
Who is still running? Andy Vendors. Flask complete the qualifying session with a third position with the Nissan GT-R. Amazing performance for the Nissan driver in the last lap of the qualifying session. Lexus, Audi, Nissan, Mercedes, 4 brand to the 4th position on the starting grid. And the Mercedes keep the best sector in sector 1 and 3. And the Lexus is the fastest in the second one. It's not the perfect lap. We can improve by 14 approximately. If we switch all the purple sector in the same lap. 1:27 is possible. Quite interesting. You can see some chat exchange. You can see the chat, interesting. So in 5th it's also a BMW, a Mercedes, followed by 2 Lexus. In we switch to the race directly. And let's see the starting grid. Maybe before the race, a quick look on the championship ranking. It's loading. Yeah. With 2 victories, Jason Absmeyer lead the championship on Ta Mali, actually starting from the 1st position. The Lamborghini of the Cerami Trip. I don't remember what is the name of this driver. Who finished in 2nd position at the 1st round. And in the 16th position in the 3rd is in 3rd position. Lucky in 4th and Dope in 5th. 3 brand in the top 5. Shooter is in 6th with the BMW. Elias in 7th with the Lexus. You can see here the point gap. There are 3 drivers at 33 points. Vincent Lidner and Phoenix is Flying is also at the same scoring point compared to Elias. GK Flask and Matt Satter with the McLaren complete the top 12. You can quickly check the rest of the field. 34 driver for this session, for this Pro Division registered, but some of them didn't take part in the race. We know there is some reserve driver.
Yeah, pretty. So maybe they don't have any specs left, so they can't race on today. And it's worth noting, I think it's for the first time since we are commentating that our tournament, we have 4 different cars at the in the 4th first position on in qualifying at least. So that shows that maybe with that new update, Kudos has done a better job for the balance of performance. And look who is starting in P6. It's Ausmeyer again, who continue on his track to not be able to qualify on the first 2 row of the grid despite winning all his race. So he won the second race at Spa from starting P6. Maybe he can do the same here at Zolder. It's in Belgium as well. But for that, he will need to pass a lot of drivers who are in front of him.
So just remember that there is a complete lap to execute at a slow speed to warm up the car, and at the end of this lap the race will start. The night condition here may modify quite a little bit the different repair of the driver. It should be interesting to see who have prepared the race by night, who didn't prepare it.
Yeah, for those who don't know, drivers pick up some adverts on the track, some trees, maybe some shaders to as a braking point, and with the light kicking in, they might have their braking points gone, so they need to adapt. Obviously, if you train a bit during by night, you might have picked some different braking points, but who knows?
And normally the
At
braking
least-
points are,
Yeah.
are fixed points on the track.
At least we will be able to enjoy the Unreal for Engine by night for the first time.
All the driver in the last chicane. We have just seen before Tobias Dope starting from the pit lane with nearly from 1 lap late. Driver,
And it's
race
green.
start.
Good start by Mari. And good start as well by Boban, who might be able to jump Baker in the first corner. No, he won't. And as Bayer, who is already putting some pressure on both Mercedes driver, and he might be able to jump Bowman. Yes, he is. I don't think Bowman will be able to fight back. No, he can't. And already at the end of the first sector, Mali has been able to extend a bit the gap between him and Lucky. Oh, Bowman, really late on the brakes! He touched a bit as Mayer, luckily no harm done for both of the drivers, but Elias might be able to capitalize on it and pass Bowman, who he decided to lift off. Going too wide there is really, really hard.
And
Yeah,
behind
single
it's
fly
quite,
behind him.
it's quite tricky behind. Oh, spin!
Just to say that, yeah, Goman with the Porsche and Andrex UK with the BMW might have collided. I think it was a spin by Goman.
And it's a DNF for Goman.
Oh, what a shame. Only Krop now remains in the Porsche, sitting in P14.
Oh, a driver make a mistakes at the rear of the field, around the 20th position. I haven't seen who is it. Mix zone overtakes Mame in the last chicane. And the two BMW are 26 and 25. Tobias Dope is quite far due to the starting for the pole position. At the top of the ranking, Taimala keeps the advantage, and Lucky have 1.3 seconds late.
There's a battle behind for 7th position between Bowman and Julian Beck. But again, Beck this time. Oh, but look at the Lamborghini behind. It's Drew. Oh, I think it's Linder. Both the teammates are colliding. And De Jong as well is spinning. And it's chaos behind. I think that this leader didn't pay attention, and yeah, Beck lifted a bit. And Lindner had nowhere to go, decided to went for it to avoid any contact, and
Let's see what happened. Let's see what happened. And Julian Bake restarts behind Shooter in a 26th position.
oh, there's a lot of fight as well at the top of the field. Sorry, between Flask and Baker, who nearly collide, and that means that Absmeyer is now catching them up. And there's a gap obviously between Bowman and Lindner. 4 seconds between those two. But Flask with the Nissan, who seems to found a bit of pace in quali, but it seems like he's struggling a bit during the race. I'll just say that he's extending the gap on Baker. It's good to see the Nissan here fighting with those cars. Also, it's not the first time we see Mali at the top of the rankings, but each time he had some issue. Remember, he spun out when he was in the first position at Nürburgring, and he wasn't able to hold up his teammate Absmeyer then at Spa. So for a third time now this season, Mali is at the front. What do you think he can do?
I don't know. I suppose the...
Oh, Flask! Sorry, fell really unstable rear.
I think he can win the race for the third one.
Well,
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
no.
Julian Baker in the
We
grass.
hope for him that he will manage to break the curse and might do a race without any mistake. Because if he can avoid all these tiny mistakes, he can certainly be a contender for the win here. Baker really struggling. We can see that Asmeyer behind is much more precise in his lines.
Absmeyer in 5th, just in front of Elias. We will have a new winner tonight. Here at Zolder, after 2 wins of Absmeyer, but does it will be still Alexis that will win in this championship?
Tequil Racing, as Absmeyer and Mali are both teammates.
Yeah. Julian Baker showed the Mercedes in the mirrors of the Nissan.
Yeah, and Baker is also trying to find a way to pass, to get past Flask.
And
so still a freeway battle for the last place on the podium for now.
Clearly, it's Lucky who take the advantage with this battle behind him. Lucky now create a gap with a 2.5 second compared to the third position.
Yeah, remember, there's a mandatory pit stop that all the drivers need to do. Obviously, it's a sprint race, so I don't think checking tires here will be a good strategy call.
No. At the rear of the field, Martin Matzer with the McLaren fighting with Dimitri Gueman with the Bentley in the first chicane. Oh, there is a Lamborghini in the grass. It's
That's Lindner. Oh, second incident, he's caught in. This one I think is on his own. Too much curb on the exit. But after colliding with his teammate, that's really not an ideal start for the Lamborghini driver.
He jumped in the curbs and lost the control of the car. Going back on live. David Mamet now in the 16th position with the Bentley. Martin Matzer in 15th position. And they complete the lap number 6. Xipe just in front of them with the Audi, and Felix and Wenders fighting side by side in the second corner. No, it's Dakusa and Mame. Yeah, Dakusa and Mame.
Dakusa and Ose.
And Ose, sorry.
You know, the driver trying to put pressure on Dakusa, and Dakusa is doing the mistake. He went too deep onto the brakes, and Ose capitalized on it with a better exit, and will probably be able to get the spot. Yes, he is. Because going too wide there is really hard. Behind there's Xipe also, who is trying to make a pass on De Jong.
Yeah, we have 5 cars, one behind the other. It's quite close here. 5 cars in the same second approximately. GK is also just behind Kropp, the Ferrari, just behind the Porsche. And Paker still fighting with Flask.
And Flask is taking a defensive line here, coming in onto the first chicane, but yeah, going here around the outside is almost impossible on the Paker. Didn't try to be too aggressive and lift. And look who is catching those top 3. Anders Meyer going for a late dive here. Almost making contact with the Mercedes of Paker. And that means that Elias is now catching both of them. Meanwhile, at the top of the leaderboard, and Asmeyer with a rare mistake from him, losing the place to Elias. That's quite something. That's quite an event. It's the first mistake of Asmeyer during the whole season, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking about the different new car that we have in this championship. I didn't see the new Aston Martin here in the screen. It's just in front of Kropp, but it's 1 lap behind the leader. We can see Jay Cool in the pit lane. Some random tramp here still running, and it's a Shaggy down in 25th position, but it seems the advantage here. It's not at the advantage. Can we have some random Trump just behind fighting? No, it's not him. It's a GK behind Shaggy down. Tobias Dopé in 23rd. 22nd is Adrien Grenier. Following David Mixon with the Huracan GT3. Some random tramp in the pit lane. It's quite earlier for the pit stop. The pit lane opening is between the 25th and 35 minutes of the race.
Yep. So that pit stop won't count as a mandatory one.
Yep.
And Mali continued to extend his gap. He's literally 5/10 faster every lap compared to Lucky.
For the moment, Mali have a good pace. It's quite regular. No any mistake. Oh, you can see here very aggressive driving on the first chicane, but it seems for him he has found some solution to to maybe the issue he encountered in the first part of the championship.
Yeah, basically in run 1 and run 2, he was struggling with the rear of the car. He was fast in quali, but when the tires weren't that sticky, you were seeing his rear of the car very unstable. He might be able to correct that on the setup and be more confident with the car in the race stream. So very good for him, because as a team, as Meyer and Mali are for the moment dominating it, and with a P1 and a P6, they will consolidate their leadership. And we can see Elias now putting pressure on Baker, and all of a sudden it's Absmeyer who is putting pressure on Elias, but losing the rear on the exit of the last corner and losing his momentum.
Adrien Grenier overtakes David Mixon, but small mistakes at the exit of the third corner allow David to coming back in position 22.
I think there's a fight between Takusa and Felix de Jong. Yeah, Jose managed to overtake the Lexus and has now created a bit of a gap. But now it's a fight between the Lexus and the Mercedes driver.
Shooter is coming from the back of the field to the position 17. Vincent Lidner is just in front of him. Maybe after a few laps, the BMW driver find a good pace. He had to overtake, no. Andrex is in position 19, 2 positions behind. And Jose overtakes Dakusa. No. It's De Jong who's fighting with Dakusa. '24 car racing in the third round of the Pro Division of the Apex Online Racing GT3 Championship. You can see there is a lot of rubber at the outside of the turns.
Oh, and I think Baker made a small mistake there. For P4, and Elias might be able to overtake him, but a good defensive line from Baker, and again Absmeyer really close on the brakes. And he's trying to go for it, and they make contact with Elias. That's the first time there's contact on that corner. And hopefully both drivers don't have any damage, that we can tell so far at least.
But Bowman is now in position to fight with Absmeyer for the fixed position.
And all that fight with Flask, Elias and Asbeyer means that Flask was able to escape a bit with the Nissan. Currently sitting in P3 for 2.5 seconds advantage over Baker. We are coming close to the pit window.
Yeah.
Only 4 minutes before it will be open, and we will see what drivers will take the risk to pit early, but avoid traffic, and those who will stretch their stint the longest possible as they are again with a mistake. He seems really not confident at all. He also obviously retained the lead of the championship with the gap he created on the first 2 rounds, but as they are, he's really struggling today. And yeah, he's not able to follow Elias, and Bowman now is putting pressure on the South African.
Is it the track or the balance of performance of the car that modify something for Meyer?
I don't think there was a lot of change on the Lexus. Maybe he had trouble, maybe not enough practice, just not confident with setup, with the track, maybe with the cold temperature.
I didn't thought it was 20 degree on track and in the air.
Yeah, he might definitely be able confident with the balance of his car. So much factors that can explain that, but we're not even mid race, so he might be able to catch both drivers at the front. Again, too much curve there.
And Dimitri Gueman is in the pit lane, but it's quite earlier. Adrien Grenier also in the pit lane. Oh, it's a DNF for Adrien, I think. 3 laps late on the leader. And Shaggy Down is now the last driver running with the new Vantage.
Yeah, the two Vantage that doesn't seem like on a good pace really. X-Cole is in P20, Shaggy Dan is in P24. Maybe it's just a track that doesn't suit those two cars.
Yeah, but
we'll see in the next rounds, obviously.
Yeah, but this car is based on the Mercedes AMG. It's quite similar. It's the same engine. I think there are more common parts with the Mercedes, except the body purely. We can see the design is quite different, but normally it's the same basis. X-Cole is fighting with Martin Matzer with the McLaren.
Yeah, 2 new cars.
Yeah, but on the McLaren there is still the backfire exhaust. You can see it's still quite impressive. Pit window will be open in 30 seconds. Who will decide to go in the pit lane quite earlier? Pit window is open. Just hear it. Let's see the first driver of the race. Who will be the first driver to enter in the pit lane? Flask is in the first corner. Elias also. Crope. Where is Crope? In the first corner. Felix still cross the line. Vendors also. Shooter also. Dimitri Gueman is in the pit lane. Oh, pit in for Andrex. First driver to cross the pit lane is Andrex UK
Dakuza as well.
and Martin
Matzer.
Matzer ex-Cole. Dakuza also, you're right. David
Nice
Midzoron
side for
in the pit lane.
a nice side for P4 now. Paker versus Elias. Paker with a poor exit there, and Elias as well, putting 2 wheels onto the dirt.
Mali, don't go in the pit lane. Lucky the same. Flask with the Nissan. Yeah, pit in for Flask and the Nissan driver. Very aggressive entry. Crope in the pit lane. And I think he changed the tire, Crope. I just did a car bumping on the road. Just remember the green mark at the right side of the number on the overlay. Just show the driver who completes the mandatory pit stop. Dope and Julian Bake don't cross in the pit lane. And all the leading car also. The top 12 of the race doesn't cross the starting line from the pit lane, so they have to complete it. Lucky, where is Lucky?
Lucky didn't pit, he continue, and it's same for the top 3 behind Paker, Elias, Meyer, all continuing. Same for Bowman.
Jose. No, we'll continue. De Jong, the same. Mami, the Bentley driver. We'll continue. Dope and Bake don't cross the pit lane. Does the Vincent Liedner and his teammate switch to the brand new 2019 Lamborghini? Tobias Dope have no steer. Flask in 12th position. First driver of the top 10 to complete and release the mandatory pit stop for Mala, Lucky, etc. I think they will.
Bowman.
Halfway mark, still a long way to go.
Bowman is in the pits.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. I think he just put fuel in, and where is Flask? Flask is there, and the pit exit you're losing a lot of time as well.
Yeah.
So I think Flask will exit in front. Yes, he is.
Yeah, but
But not by much.
yeah, but it was still in front of.
Yeah, but keep in mind
Bowman.
Bowman was 7. Flask was P3, so I think the gap really closed in. As we know, if your first stint is quite short, that means you have to put more fuel on the second stint. So that's probably why Flask lost a bit of time in the pits. And I'm afraid he probably lost his third spot. And Lucky, Mali, Paker, Elias as Mayor all continuing. I'm pretty sure they will wait for last opportunity to pit.
I think not at the end of this one, not the end of the next one, but in 3 lap it's full. No. At the end of last lap, at least. No, at least. It's the maximum of the. It's the limit. At the end of that lap, it's the limit where they can cross the pit lane. If it's after, I think it will be too late. Maybe they have an additional lap. It's the end of the track for Mali. GK and De Jong also go into the pit lane. Mali continue. 27.4. It will cross the line at 26. So normally the next run should be the white one. And is it?
Paker in the pit. Elias as well. Absmeyer will continue.
I have seen.
Oh, and he broke really late.
Xipe and Lindner are fighting.
Pit lane. Very aggressive pit lane entry from Paker and Elias. But the main question is, where are they gonna come out of the pits compared to Flask? And obviously Bowman. These are the two drivers that are fighting against virtually. Paker is the first to immobilize his car. Will he see? Oh, and I think he went too deep. I think he overshot his pit stop.
Who?
Oh, Paker, I think it's just a glitch. Yeah, it was just visually, it's a bit of netcode and Paker going out and nearly losing the back end of his car. And look at Elias, the time Elias gained. Flask is still gonna be gonna exit the pit the first corner in second place, but Elias is gonna come out in P4 virtually. Paker in P5. No, Paker is gonna be exiting the pit lane behind Bowman. Bowman undercut Paker, and I thought I saw Paker overshoot his pit stop. Had to put the reverse gear. He probably lost the time there. What a shame. But now, where is Mali? Mali's in the pit. Lucky's in the pit. Avsmeyer is in the pits.
Yeah, everybody's complete the pit lane except Shaggy Down, but Shaggy Down he's running. You have to go in the pit lane now, or we have a penalty.
That's gonna be interesting because Avsmeyer was behind Paker. Will we see Avsmeyer overcutting him or the opposite? Mali has already finished his pit stop. He will exit the pit lane in first place with a Bolvar.
I think Shaggy Dan will be penalized. It didn't go in the pit lane and it's 25.25 at the timing.
What a mistake. Avsmeyer with a really quick pit stop. Did Avsmeyer save fuel during the whole stint?
He was stuck behind another driver, so maybe he could save some fuel.
Because Elias will exit the first corner just in front of Avsmeyer, but Bowman and Paker will be behind. Bowman was already behind Avsmeyer anyway, but they both overtook Paker. Paker is the guy who lost a lot after the pit lane, after the pit stops, and he would need to regain that advantage he lost on the track. Meanwhile, Lucky continued to extend his lead 12.7 seconds in front of Mali and Flask. Flest managed to close the gap unlucky thanks to his early pit stop. Only 1.3 seconds are separating both drivers. And now it's Bowman who is putting pressure on the South African driver of Absmeyer.
Oh, mistake from Baker! He crossed the grass but keep the control of the car, but it was tricky. We were not so far from the crash. And we can see behind Crope. And the GK with the Ferrari. Jose. Dakusa and Shooter. Shooter is coming back in 12th position. It's a quite good performance for the BMW driver. Remember that he was starting from the back of the field. And compared to Andrex UK, which is in 18th position from Shooter, I think he found something, or maybe he understands something during the first minute of the race.
Yeah, and Vensalina as well. Vensalina who collided with his teammate early in the race, who restarted in the last position and now up to P14. Good comeback from him. But he could still have regret because he had a great qualifying session. And what could have been a potential top 5 is now a potential top 12.
Be careful to Xipe. Xipe trying to test different weapon.
Yeah, but the BMW had a lot of top speed here. Even with the slipstream, he's not gaining.
Xipe following Shooter, but Shooter have some oversteer. It will be possible for Xipe to keep a new position here in the starting straight. The first corner will be side by side for the two drivers. And the Audi driver are very safe. And it's still in 13th position, but it's Vincent Lidner who is coming back now. Oh, and Vincent go into the wall.
Oh, what a shame! Just as we talk about him and about his comeback, he's doing yet another mistake. Ah, that's unfortunate.
Does this new Lamborghini are more tricky to drive?
Nah, I don't think there's a difference really.
Normally it's only the front bumper who change. I don't think it's quite a massive evolution of the car, but
Yeah, the car is still very rigid, obviously very stiff. So you have the back end, which is quite hard to control, especially in the middle of a corner. I don't think it's really different, but I don't think Zolder is a track which can help the Lamborghini. Obviously, as Lamborghini is a very stiff car, she doesn't like curves, and sadly on that track you have a lot of them. I think Lamborghini will be more at its advantage on tracks like Misano or Silverstone.
Baker still following Bowman. The two Mercedes drivers fighting for the 6th position.
And Baker and Bowman are still fighting.
We can clearly observe that it's tricky to overtake. Clearly there is some new opportunity, but it's very difficult to complete the overtaking and keep the position. Even if there is no mistake of the other driver, it's very difficult. From Baker, it will be possible. No, yeah, maybe. We don't know. It seems it's oh, there is a blue flag. It's Shaggy down. Oh, the curbs. Oh, very aggressive corner in for Bowman.
Yeah, meanwhile, Flask is still trying to close the gap on Lucky. There was 1.4 seconds the call for Alpha, so now it's only 1.1. Slowly but surely, Flask is coming back with his Nissan. And Daft Mayor is coming back on Elias.
And there is also Dope and Andrex that are faster than vendors. Whoa, vendors got into the wall. Vendors make mistakes and lose 2 position.
And I think he probably had some damage.
Minutes before the checkered flag, and Mali is still leading the race. 13 seconds between the first and the second driver. Quite impressive performance for Mali today here. Unbeatable on this track.
The race is not over. There's still 60 minutes to go. And this Mayor, I think, made a mistake because he lost contact with Elias. It's now Baker who is putting pressure on him, and just as I say that, it's a spin for Baker, who managed to hold on to it, but Bowman will manage to overtake him. No, yes, they're side by side into the second corner, and Baker will manage to hold Bowman behind him, but it was really close. Baker really saved over race, I would say.
Bowman was just in front of Baker a few
Yeah,
laps
but I
ago.
think Baker overtook him a couple of laps ago, and by the way, Flask lost a bit of time. Unlucky, there's now 2.4 seconds between those two drivers.
Zype still chasing Shooter. Maybe some tire issue for the BMW?
We know it's a car that is lacking grip in the corners, downforce especially, and is probably wearing the tires a bit more than the other cars. Look behind. Look who is behind Baker and Bowman. It's Krupp with the Porsche. He was really we didn't really see him on the first part of the race, but now he's coming back with the Porsche. And as both Paker and Bowman are making a mistake, Krupp is now less than a second behind them.
Let's go on board with Krupp. So we have the Flat 6 engine. Like if you were in the car with the visor cam of Krupp. $12 minutes remaining before the checkered flag.
Krupp is continuing to put pressure on Bowman. And just as I say that, Krupp a little bit too wide on the entry there, clip the curb, there's a bit of momentum.
Shaggy Down is in the pit. What happened for Shaggy Down? It's a DNF, I think. David Mixon is the last driver racing now. In 22, X-Cole with the other Aston Martin in a 21 position. And Evenders is in the 20. Julian Bake, the brand new Lamborghini, is in the position 29, separating by 1.2 seconds on Dope. Andrakes is in position 17 with the BMW, just following Vincent Ledner. No, it's Dimitri, just in front of him. It's Vincent Ledner, yeah. I didn't see where is Dimitri Gueman. He's in the pit. Gueman is in the pit. David Mamet. David Mamet in 15 position with the Bentley. Felix de Jong 14, and Zype still following Shooter. I think the Audi is faster in the first sector, but it's difficult for him to find a solution to overtake the BMW, and we can see Felix now closing the gap, and there is a battle with 3 cars for the position number 12, and Zype lost position on De Jong at the first chicane. He lost the car and lost several tints that allow the Mercedes driver to pass on the left side of the car, on the right side of the car, sorry. Shooter in position 12, Dakusa in 11, and the top 10 is closed by Thomas Ose, just following the Ferrari driver GK. We haven't spoken a lot about GK today. Still in the top 10, but never fighting with any other driver. it's a quite not a tricky race, but I would say it. I don't remember the words.
Yeah, at the front it's a bit more calm. Paker is catching up Mayer, but nothing really important is happening.
Less than 9 minutes before the checkered flag. A mistake for GK. And Jose take the position 9.
Paker is really close to Osmeyer for 5th place. Now we have seems like we have 2 duos fighting, one for P5 with Osmeyer and Paker, and one for P7 with Bowman and Kropp.
Lexus versus Mercedes and Mercedes versus Porsche.
Paker with a good exit. He might be able to challenge Osmeyer.
Upsmeyer is
defensive
defending.
line. It's not gonna happen. And behind Kropp on Bowman, same result.
Well,
and Flask! Flask made a mistake in P3, and now it's Elias behind him.
what happened? He made a mistake few laps ago, it seems, because on the replay there are 2 cars side by
He
side.
lost. Oh yeah, effectively, he might have made a mistake a couple of laps ago. In fact, but Paker is really close behind Osmeyer. Same for Kropp and Bowman.
Upsmeyer, Paker.
Oh, Kropp with a mistake! Losing the rear end exit of that second chicane. First chicane, sorry.
Some few things lost here, but no spin. Let's see, if you have the pace, you can come back. But there will be... He will have maybe one try to overtake the Mercedes driver. 4 minutes and 20 seconds before the checkered flag. Where is Mali? Mali is alone at the front of the field with 16 seconds ahead of Lucky. Lucky quite alone, also with a 6 second gap.
Crop made a mistake. Crop respawn. It was Bowman, yeah. Who's not going on? Ose even managed to overtake Crop. Oh.
He's trying.
Contact, I think there's contact between Paker and Asmeyer. We are side by side now. Coming into the turn number 4. And Paker managed to went through. Will Asmeyer be able to fight back?
I'm waiting to go back in live.
No, he can't. Now it's Bowman who is catching those two guys. Oh, what an unfortunate mistake! Too much curb on the last corner for a Crop and a spin. 12 to 13 seconds last in that incident. That's really unfortunate for the Porsche driver who was doing a brilliant race.
And for the third step of the podium, it's not completely closed. There is still the Lexus fighting with the Nissan. Flask is defending clearly. Oh, the Lexus drive. It's quite close. Let's see on board with Elias. Whoa, mistake for Flask in the first chicane, trying to close the door between the second one.
And Elias is going on the brakes, but he went deep and Flask with the switchback. Amazing show off by these two drivers going side by side in that chicane. And Asmeyer also went, I think, broke too late. And did try to overtake Paker, but Paker did switch back as well. But Elias may have another chance coming into the last corner.
I think we will have another lap after this one.
Yeah, 2 more laps to go. And Flask went straight into the grass, and Elias might be able to concede to get the position thanks to that. They are both side by side coming onto the start finish line. Now into the first corner, Flask on the inside, Elias on the outside, Elias on the brakes on the outside. He went really deep, he losing the back end, and Flask will keep the third position. But those two drivers are pushing on the limit.
Behind Julian Paker, keep the advantage.
And Paker, Asmeyer and Bowman are even catching to P3 and P4. We might have 5 guys fighting for the podium in the last few laps.
Zype is also fighting for the position 12, still chasing Shooter, but didn't find the draw to try to attack the BMW driver.
Leaders on final lap now.
Final lap. Mali starts his final lap. A pretty lonely race for the Lexus driver. Lucky also should finish second if everything is going. If he's not doing any mistakes, but for P3, P4, P5, P6 and P7 we have no certitude so far.
1 minute and 20 seconds before the end of this race. All is still open for the different driver. Mali will close the race in a few minutes. The slowest corner of the race. And now is going directly to the last chicane. Last chicane for Mali. And after 3 races, we have 3 Lexus win in this Pro Division. Lexus for the third time of the season. Audi with Lucky in the second step of the podium.
And 3 Tech 1 Racing with victories, as Mali is the teammate of Absmeyer. For P3, Flask will hold to his third position. Elias will finish 4th, Paker will finish 5th, Asmeyer 6th, and Bowman 7th. But what a race, and what a final few laps it was between all these drivers who put on a show.
Yeah, we had an amazing finish here, and Jose in 8th overtake Gropes. And just behind is GK with the Ferrari, who try to take some additional points, but it was not the case. Dakusa for the top 10. Shooter with the BMW complete at the position 11. Felix de Jong for the position 12. 13 for Xipe. David Mame will finish position 14, and 15 for Andrex. Vincent Lidner will finish at position 16. Vender still cross the line in position 17. It's the same for X Cole in position 18. Dope in 19. Julian Beck in 20. And David Migzorn, last driver to race, in position 21. We have lost Dimitri Gueman during the race with maybe a disconnection, I think. That's all for the race. Now let's find some interview with the podium of the day. Maybe Henrik, you have to leave. Thank you, Henrik.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you, Adrien. Thank you to the drivers for putting a nice race, and I will see you next week for the fourth round of our Apex Online Racing Assetto Corsa Championship.
It's not sure that we will broadcast the fourth round, but there will be a race for sure. Thank you, Henrik. Bye.
Bye.
So we are back in a few seconds with the driver for the podium. We are back for the podium interview with Mali for the first step, Lucky for the second one, and Flask for the third one. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for the third round here in Belgium at Zolder, very spectacular race. We'll start by the winner of the race, Ta. You start in the first lane, and you directly create a very impressive gap during all the race with all the driver. What happened here today to make such an impressive performance? Have you found something specific on the car?
Yeah, actually, it was, first of all, it was really nice race, and I knew before the race that the qualifying is the key for the race, because I did some races before, and overtaking is really tough, and following people sometimes it pushes you to do huge mistakes, so it could cost you like many positions. So I knew that the qualifying is it's really important. So I managed to get P1, and lucky was like 1/10 behind, which is really close. I mean, I could be like 3 or 4 tenths faster, but you know, on this circuit, I mean, you should have a really perfect lap, like perfect corners. I mean, it's really easy to make mistakes, especially in the second sector, which is really tricky. Like you should get the chicanes right, otherwise you will lose huge time. So I knew that I would have the pace, so I managed, like at the beginning I was having like 7 or 8 seconds advantage over Lucky, and for some reason he lost some times on the pit. So before the pit, we pit together. The gap was 6 seconds, and for some reason, I mean, when I went out of the pit, it was like 13 seconds. So I was safe back there, but I was pushing also. You never know. So, but it was really nice, especially in a really nice race. No issues with the blue flags, and it was really nice and calm race from my side.
Okay, so thank you for your feedback. The pace was very impressive today. You finished with more than 15 seconds ahead of the second driver, Lucky with the Audi.
Yeah, but just to add something, like I was running on aggressive setup. I mean, I didn't change nothing, just small changes with the right height, a little bit more right height at the front, and to right curb really well. So otherwise, like, it's a track that you should have confidence and be precise. Man, setup will not do, like, if you have a good car, and the setup will not do something, I mean, big. So you should just have the confidence on the car, and I mean, and be precise, don't do mistakes. So this is the key for the victory today.
Yeah, no mistakes. A very nice pace. And for the third times of the championship, it's a Take 1 victory for the team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was nice.
congratulations, Ta. We will switch
Thank
to
you so much.
the second step of the podium. Lucky. Second step. Ta was quite impossible to reach today. What was the strategy for you today during the race?
Yeah, I mean, I had two main goals this race. First one was like to avoid all of the curbs, especially on the chicanes, because they are very dangerous to the Audi. Can get very oversteer very fast. And second one, of course, not getting the drive-through like we saw happening to me in Spa, which was really unlucky. And yes, in the race, I didn't had to push that much because, I mean, like Mali was so fast, I was never gonna catch him. So I could, yeah, take it a bit more relaxing, you know, not push to the limit.
Did you switch to the 2019 Audi or it's still the 2018?
I didn't switch. I mean, I tried the new one, but for me it was like half a second slower in hot lap. So
The
I mean,
new
I
one
had
is
no
slower?
reason. The new one for me it was like half a second slower, I
Okay.
couldn't get like 128.0.
Okay, it's quite surprising, but maybe there is some car that are progressing, so it's possible that some car are quite a bit slow, but there is still so many Audi in this for this round, so we can suppose it's quite similar. The car is still competitive, and today you proved that it's still the case with the second position.
Yes, of course. But maybe we will see me changing the car in the next race. I don't know.
So it will be a surprise. Maybe
Yeah.
an idea if you switch to another car. Which one should be possible?
I have to test them first, but I was thinking about the Aston.
The new one.
Yeah. Yeah, the new Aston.
It was not
One looks good to me.
it was not an easy race for
And
the two driver with this car today. They were very far
yeah,
from the top, so let's see
okay,
if it
I
will
will
be.
have to test.
Yeah, for sure. And for the third step, quite a surprise to see Flask with the Nissan GT-R, but it seems Flask it was the good choice.
Yeah, it felt really good when I tried it, and it seemed to work.
We have seen in the last minutes of the race there is some mistake. Maybe the car was tricky to drive, or it's maybe just concentration. For the...
It didn't want to do what I wanted to do. Like the last 20 minutes, I came out behind Lucky with his. I mean, he must have he had a bad pit stop, and I could keep up with him for like a few laps, and then the Nissan just fell off a cliff, and then it didn't want to brake as it should, and drifted a lot, and yeah, I really had to struggle especially the last 15 minutes was a real struggle.
During some moments, you doubt that you will be able to finish on the podium because just behind you there is a. I don't remember exactly who it was, but it was so close to lose the third position.
Elias, I think, was the guy.
Yeah, it was Elias. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just hoping that Jason or someone else would, challenge him for that position, so they got locked up in a battle, so I could just cruise on home. But that wasn't the case, and then the car didn't want to do what I want to do, and it sort of like just fell off a cliff, and I was really struggling. And then the Lexus is a really good car. It doesn't seem to have any weaknesses, and in in the hands of someone who's a competent driver, it's probably like one of the fastest cars on the grid.
Okay. Thank you for your feedback, guys, and again, congratulations for this podium, and congratulations especially for Tara with a very impressive pace today. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you as well.
See you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. See you next time.
So that's the end for the third round of the Apex Online Racing, the Pro Division for the GT3 Championship. For the next broadcast on Product TV tomorrow at 9 p.m. you have the US Racing F1 Cup Series, the NASCAR Championship, the French NASCAR Championship on iRacing, and on Friday you have the Fanatec GT Challenge, also a NASCAR an iRacing competition that everybody can race because it's an official series. For the Apex Online Racing, the next round is in 1 week. It's the round 4. I will try to catch the calendar season. Not sure to still have it. Where is it? GT3 League. I didn't remember which round is it. Round 4. It's at Brenzach. 90 or 60? It's a 60-minute race at Brenzach, but I'm not sure to be able to broadcast the race. So if there is something planned, you will be able to find a live link in the channel, on Productivist channel. but it's not sure that we will be able to broadcast the round 4 and also the round 5. Some availability on our side that didn't match to broadcast the race, so we can see Shooter that making some donuts with the BMW. Not sure to be able to broadcast the Pro Division for the round 4 and 6, but we will come back for the round 6 for sure at Misano, so maybe we will miss Brands Hatch and Monza. Thank you everybody for watching the race, and thank you for your fidelity. Have fun, and I hope the race and the broadcast was enjoying for you. If you like it, don't hesitate to share and to sub the channel to don't miss anything. And in any case, see you in a few time for more racing competition on Paddock TV. Bye!